Are we live? All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the fifth and final session of the 2021 Houston Bike Summit. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Joe Cutrufo, Executive Director of Bike Houston. It's been a real honor to present this virtual summit, and I'd really like to thank our co-presenters, Link Houston and Houston B-Cycle, for their support in this endeavor. And I'd also like to thank all of you, our panelists and our audience, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be part of this. There's so much good infrastructure in the works. And given that so many different entities around town fund, design, build bikeways in Houston, I thought it would be a good idea to bring many of those project proponents together to talk about what's in the pipeline. So before I pass the mic, just a bit of housekeeping. If you want to ask a question, put it in the Q&A down at the bottom of your screen. And of course, I'd like to thank the Houston Bike Summit sponsors, Traffic Engineers, Inc., or TEI, Edo Bike Co., Darrow, and Bike Barn. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a veteran of Houston's bike advocacy scene, Bicycle Advisory Committee Chair, Tom Compson.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks to you, to Bike Houston, to Link Houston, and to B-Cycle, Houston B-Cycle, for putting together an outstanding collection of speakers for this year's Bike Summit. I'm sure we all would have liked to have met in person.
Probably the end of the summer.
But you certainly made the best of it, and maybe even better than we could have done in person, by getting people not only across the region, but from around the world to share their insights with us. It's really been great. I'd like to introduce the moderator for today's session, if I can find her introduction here. Jessica Wiggins is a native Houstonian, one of the few, a multimodal transportation planner and seasoned advocate for people who walk, bike, and ride transit. As the former advocacy director at Bike Houston, Jessica led pivotal campaigns like the Build 50 Challenge to spur development of 50 new miles of high comfort bikeways identified in the Houston Bike Plan. Currently, Jessica works with TEI, one of our sponsors, helping the public sector develop inclusive and community-driven policies, programs, and projects to make life better for all road users. Jessica is also a league-certified bicycling instructor, a member of the Mayor's Bicycle Advisory Committee, and a public health student at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. So with that, Jessica, I'll turn the reins over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom. Again, welcome everyone to the final, what I'm going to call episode of the Houston Bike Summit. Like, Tom and Joe already said, we have a really great cast of characters from across the region that do really great work for making our city more bikeable for everyone. And we have a collection of 8 people from 8 different organizations. 6 of them are associated with governmental entities, and 2 of them are nonprofit organizations. And we're going to play a bit of bike lane hot potato. Each person will have about 5 minutes to tell us what they've got in the pipeline, what they've got going on, and what we can look forward to as far as new bike infrastructure in the region moving forward. So when we get started, I'll set a timer for 5 minutes. And at the end of every 5 minutes, we're all going to hear this. And that'll let the speaker know that their time is up, and we'll move on to the next. So we've got a lot of great people, and we're going to get started today with Lisa Griff, who is the project manager for the Beyond the Bayous program for the Houston Parks Board. And, if anyone has experience riding up and down White Oak or Brays Bayou, you're already familiar with the handiwork of the Houston Parks Board. So we're so happy to have you, Lisa. Take it away.
Thanks, Jessica. And I'm going to share my screen because I did bring a few slides to show everybody. Can you see that? Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm so excited to talk to you today about one of the many projects we have going on. This one is the Spring Branch Trail. It is a trail that will be mostly in a center point easement that runs, when complete, will run 11 miles and connect between White Oak Bayou in the east to Addicks Reservoir in the west. And so, of course, as soon as you connect to White Oak Bayou, that's 17 miles of trails that connects you into downtown and the rest of the Bayou Greenway system. The project was identified by Spring Branch Management District in their comprehensive plan in 2015. And so you can see on the screen the location of the trail. So Spring Branch is just north of I-10 and west of 290. And so they worked with TEI and SWA group on the originally identifying the project. And then the map you see on screen was done through an HGAC study to look more in depth on how we might accomplish, or they might accomplish, this trail. And it was done by TEI and SWA group again. And so it is split into 7 different segments. The first segment is segment 5, and that was completed. That was 2.4 miles and was completed in December 2020 and is already being well used. And we are just starting design on segment 3, which you can see on the screen, which is west of Gessner Road. And so we're excited to be continuing progress on this trail. It's really exciting that this trail will be, when complete, will connect, be within 5 minutes, 10-minute walk of almost 36,000 people. And it has multiple parks and 12 schools that are adjacent or almost adjacent to it, as well as many retail centers. And so it's a really huge opportunity for connectivity in the area. So the trail is being accomplished through an agreement between CenterPoint and the City of Houston that was signed in 2014. And this agreement gives the City of Houston the ability to build trails on CenterPoint easements with a few restrictions that you can see on the screen. So it's a 10-foot wide concrete trail. It's kind of got park rules, so open dawn till dusk. And it's mainly for walking and biking and passing through. And it has a maintenance area on either side and limited planting and other things that you can do along the trail because they are CenterPoint utility easements. You can also see on the screen the first Houston Parks Board is involved because after the agreement was signed, we accomplished the pilot project, which was off of Sims Bayou Greenway. That opened in 2019. So you can see the opening there. And then you can see on the screen behind me and on the actual, the other image is a photo of the Spring Branch Trail, the portion that has been completed. So some of the amenities that we are providing on these trails, typically similar to the Bayou Greenways, there are mileage markers that double as 911 markers, so that 911, if you call the number and you give them the numbers on the little disc, that they'll know exactly where to come and find you when things go wrong. There are also signage that's similar to Bayou Greenway. So there's, you can see an image there, me and my dog, and a kind of gateway sign. So those are gateways or connections into the neighborhoods and parks that give you maps and information and rules and all of that. And then there's directional signage and stop signs. And then at trail entrances, there are bollards that are to prevent cars riding on the trails, as well as signage and some upgraded landscaping, as well as waste, dog waste and regular waste stations. So that is typically what you'll find along these trails. And so we are, at the same time that the Spring Branch Management District was working on their comprehensive plan. Houston Parks Board was working on Beyond the Bayous and also identified this project as a potential important connectivity project in the area. So the Beyond the Bayous study is a region-wide parks plan that connects greenways, trails, and parks of all sizes across Houston. And the goal really is to connect people, parks, and nature together throughout the region. And the idea was that we started and we created these amazing Bayou Greenways, 150 miles of trails that can connect up, and that we wanted to really extend those benefits throughout the region and open up green space equitably so that people throughout the region can get to them and enjoy them. And so there on the screen, you can see our regional connected network of greenways, and we had identified the Spring Branch Trail as one of the major ones. So we are excited that portion of the trail is underway, and total segments of it that are within Spring Branch Management District. So that we're really happy to be working with them and their vision for creating this trail within their area, as well as taking on the maintenance of it, which is extremely important. So, and we are going to continue building this trail and then finishing up that 11 miles, and then hope to work with the rest of you to accomplish some of the other connectors and trails that you see on the screen in front of you. So that is
Cool. Did you guys hear my bicycle song come on at all?
I did not. Did I go over? I'm sorry.
You hear it? Okay. Well, we'll have to figure something else out. Thanks so much, Lisa. That's really awesome that we're getting these regional connectors, connecting our bayous that really run really well east-west, but making sure that we're connecting to things north-south and then beyond to bigger parks is really important. So thank you for that. Next up, we've got the project manager from the Buffalo Bayou Partnership, Jose Solis. And if you're ever wondering what to do with people that come to visit you in Houston, one of the first things that I do is I take them to Buffalo Bayou and show them the really amazing amenity that we have for everyone to use right here in the central city. So Jose, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Sorry, for some reason my camera is not working. I'm sorry about that. Hold on, let me share my screen. Can you all see that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're working on is, for those of you that don't know, we've all seen Buffalo Bayou Park, trails downtown. But in 2019, we launched a master plan for the Bayou east of downtown. And we had an extensive community engagement as part of this. We met with over 700 people, we had community meetings, met with neighborhood groups. We had an extensive social media campaign. And as far as biking infrastructure, one of the things that is really important in this part of town is that we're moving into a very different environment and community than we were in the west of downtown. So we really wanted to be sensitive of how we approach the designs and interventions that we were going to plan in the East End and Fifth Ward neighborhoods. So the master plan was guided by these 4 principles: authentic, connected, inclusive, and resilient. Authentic meaning that whatever we did, we wanted to make sure that it really felt like it belonged in the neighborhood. Connected, which we'll obviously talk about today, is thinking about how people moved around and could get through the neighborhoods. But the other really big thing for us was how right now the Greater East End and the Fifth Ward are really separated from each other by the bayou. And so also sort of, how do we connect north, south, both physically and sort of, culturally, so that those two neighborhoods really feel connected. Inclusive, we wanted to make sure that anybody, people have been living in these neighborhoods for generations, but also we have a lot of new people that are moving in. We wanted to make sure that everybody felt welcome and that everybody felt like this was, what all the things that we were doing were really, representative of everybody. And then obviously after Harvey, we really focused on what are the, how do we protect the investments that we'd be making in this end of town? Unlike other parts of town, what we call the east sector, which is the area of east of downtown, we didn't see actually a lot of flooding. We actually saw a lot more erosion. So what we, especially if we have bike trails along the bayou, what are the things that we need to do to really protect those investments in bike infrastructure, but also looking at, these are neighborhoods that have been underinvested in for generations. And so what can we do, in the capacity that we are as Buffalo Bayou Partnership, what can we do to help, improve economic prosperity in the neighborhood? So the master plan itself actually, covers the area from essentially US 59 to the west, to the Port of Houston turning basin to the east. And the master plan identified about 43 miles of on and off street bikeways within this area. In some instances, those are, things that we'll be doing, if it's, for instance, on private property or we have an easement, things like that. In other instances, it'll be, we'll partner with the East End District, Harrisburg TERS, Fifth Ward Redevelopment Corporation, Fifth Ward TERS, entities like that to really implement this plan. City of Houston, Harris County, whole cast of characters to make this happen. And as I mentioned, right now we have some infrastructure and some bikeways running east-west. That a first priority is really to finish that network so that you can really travel east and west along the bayou. But then just as importantly is to the connections running north-south. So like, as I mentioned, people in the Fifth Ward can make it into the Second Ward, into Magnolia Park, up to Denver Harbor, things like that, so that there's much more connectivity north-south, and that all of those neighborhoods then connect back to downtown and the entire Bayou trail system that we built through downtown and through Buffalo Bayou Park, and then also to trails, for example, like the White Oak Bayou trails that Houston Park Sport have built, and then some of the trails further south on Brays Bayou. So really connect this area to the whole Bayou trail, or the whole trail network in the city in general. So the first thing we're really focusing on is, as I mentioned, the Bayou trails, and then connectivity in the neighborhood. And then the other big piece is really transforming navigation so that it basically into a linear greenway, so that they take the excess capacity of navigation and make it into a amenity for the city. And we actually just received a partnership grant from the Harris County Precinct 2 on this project. So that kind of covers what we're doing, Buffalo Bayou Partnership.
Hey, Jose, that image looks familiar.
Yes.
That's awesome work. Thank you so much, Jose, for giving us an idea of what we have to look forward to from the Buffalo Bayou Partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is kind of was my, partner in crime when thinking about the Build 50 Challenge, and really has helped spur some of Houston's first on-street bike lanes. And I'm so excited to introduce Amar Mohite, who is the Director of Planning and Infrastructure with Harris County Precinct 1. Go ahead, Amar.
Thank you to Bike Houston and everyone, and Jessica for inviting me to the Houston Bike Summit. It's a pleasure to be with this group of members, panelists today. And in 2017, I had the opportunity to join the team of Commissioner Rodney Ellis. And one of the early tasks I had was to jumpstart the implementation of the bike plan. And so after having completed the bike plan, it was a great opportunity for us to be able to implement these projects that came out of the bike plan. And so based on that partnership, the first Bill 50 challenge and the partnership with the city of Houston, Harris County Precinct 1 implemented the first 18 miles of bikeway. We had just finished substantial completion on Austin 2 weeks ago. So it took 3 years to implement the project, but that one project connected 18 miles of high comfort network with connecting 3 complete communities, 3 major Bayou Greenway corridors, 4 universities, 11 schools, and educational facilities. So it was that project was really was able to jumpstart, in my mind, a lot of the on-street bikeway network within and with a quick build approach. So as we move forward into looking forward, we started based on the lessons learned from the first partnership with the city. We started looking at how do we partner with agencies up front, and with all of the other programs and goals that were being set by the city and Harris County and Metro. How do we partner with agencies in building a network and expanding the network to other communities? And so we extended the first few projects that we are taking on is expanding the network to the Northeast, connecting the Hunting Bayou to Halls Bayou with the Cavalcade Homestead project, and on the Southeast side, extending Braze Bayou connections along MLK to Sims Bayou. So it would bring a number of other communities together. And beyond thinking about bikeways, the goal is to think about how do you create safe streets. The goal for this is probably a more comprehensive goal as you look at ped bike transit improvements within our region, and not just limit yourself to thinking at bikeway improvement. And so an example here is the Cavalcade Homestead project. As you can see, for the precinct, it was one of the top 3 corridors outside the downtown area with on the high injury network. And as you can see, significant number of injuries along this corridors, 25% of fatal crashes for people walking and biking, and 30% injuries. And the primary reason is the street is built over capacity. It's a 6-lane boulevard cross section and does not warrant that capacity that is there. And as a result, people are driving over 10 to 15 miles on that roadway, resulting in crashes. So next slide. So we are looking at how do you right size the street. Again, this would be implemented in a similar quick build fashion, but we would go through full design on these design and construction drawings on these projects. So we would be on Cavalcade, we would be changing it from a 4-lane and a 4-lane boulevard cross section with a 4-feet bike lane to a 1 lane in each direction and a bike lane. And I think so it meets, and it would improve safety. Homestead is similarly a 6-lane boulevard, and we would be making it to a 4-lane boulevard, and that would allow for a dedicated bike lane, similar to what we have on with precast curbs, like you see on Austin Street. It won't be a 2-way; it would be a dedicated 1-way bikeway along the segment. As a part of that, we are also working with Houston Parks Board and Harris County Flood Control District. We are also extending the Hunting Bayou Greenway to extend all the way from Lockwood to Homestead. So there would be a Bayou Greenway connection along this corridor. This also helps us improve safety. And as you can see from this slide, it significantly reduces the distance for people crossing the street. I want to summarize and give you all an overall picture of what Precinct 1 is doing beyond the 18 miles. This is a part of an overall 30 miles of bikeways that are being, bikeways, trails, 4 bridges being in various phases of study, design, and construction phase right now. And then we are, I think so 25 of those miles are within the city of Houston, and another 5 miles in the unincorporated. I'm very happy. I wanted to share that we are doing our first protected bike lane. We just are ready to award the project to a contractor in unincorporated Harris County. And so I'm really excited about being able to expand this infrastructure to unincorporated Harris County also. So that brings, so again, the big thing about this is partnerships. Partnerships are important. It's the best way to help implement projects within our region, working with multiple partners. So thank you. And I pass this back on to you, Jessica.
Cool, thanks, Lamar. And that's a really great segue into the picture on the upper right-hand corner that you have is from the first parking protected bike lane in Houston, funded in partnership with Harris County Precinct 1, Councilmember Carlos Cisneros, and the Greater Northside Management District, who we have coming up, which is home to that bikeway. So I will pass it over to Ms. Annabeth Tercios. She is the Deputy Director for the Greater Northside Management District and is going to tell us what the Greater Northside has in store. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Bike Houston, for the invitation to your summit and ongoing community engagement in the Greater Northside communities. Over the past few years, we've, in multiple studies, we've actually identified Quitman as the heart of the Northside. It encouraged a lot of pedestrian and streetscape infrastructure improvements due to the pedestrian level of a grade D. Throughout the years and multiple studies, and actually we worked with Amar closely when he was at the city on the mobility study, Quitman just kept coming up as a pedestrian, as a corridor that we needed to look at, had a lot of needs and assessments. And so the management district, we ended up applying for the Houston-Galveston area council tip call for project. We received the grant, and when we received the grant back in 2015, it just talked about a lot of the enhancements that we're going to do as far as pedestrian-oriented lighting, ADA ramp, crosswalks, but it was going to only be from South Street to Gano Street. And one of the things that, as we were talking more about this opportunity that we received, the TIP grant, we discovered that the city, Metro, were also working on parallel projects along Quitman, not to the same extent of where we were looking at from South to Gano, but in the outskirts of Quitman. So we started talking to all of our partners and ended up converting from all the conversations that this actually became a partnership project. The project now entails Commissioner Adrian Garcia, the city of Houston, and also we, as far as the management district, but within the management district, we have been partnered with a lot of these organizations because of what was going on Quitman with all of the parallel. Now, Metro, when Metro came in, they also said, hey, we want to be a part of this project. So now with all of the partners together, this actually is going to become a grander scale project. So just to give you an idea, when it comes down to numbers, when we received the HGAC grant, we received a total of close to $2 million in funds. And then now with all of the interlocal agreements with Metro Commissioners Garcia and the city of Houston, it's going to be a project of about $6.7 million. So just to give you a scope of now, the project has gone from, again, as I mentioned, south to Gano. Now it's extending from Houston Avenue to Elysian. And this is actually connecting over to a project that Amar mentioned earlier with Elysian and Hardy. And then Jessica mentioned that it was one of the catalyst projects that happened here in the north side. So now with Quitman, we're actually able to go ahead and connect it over. Just to give you a proposed section of how this will look, the Quitman will now be reduced, the drive lanes will now be reduced to 11 feet. Bike lanes will be 6 feet. And we are actually looking at doing bi-directional bike lanes. This is the first time in the north side that this will exist. And also in Houston, there are not many of them. So this will definitely be a catalyst project. There will be 6 feet sidewalks and of course some landscaping. And because of the partnership with Metro, there will also be a few sections that have floating bus stops. Just to give you some ideas on design elements, we're looking at different designs from lighting, sidewalks, as far as concrete art, those sorts of things that are coming up in the pipeline. We are actually still in design. So we are definitely looking for this project to be completed and starting construction in 2022. But what I do want to add onto this project, it's becoming a project that will connect businesses, jobs, services. The partnership will serve as a catalyst project to improve connectivity within the area to the businesses, neighborhood, commercial thoroughfare, TOD development. It just does a lot with the project. So we definitely, as Amar mentioned and other partners have mentioned earlier, partnerships. We cannot do this alone, and having our partners from Precinct 2, from the city and Metro is making this one-of-a-kind project that we look forward to introducing to everybody next year. And I think Jessica had asked a question about challenges. I think the big challenge is time. As you can see, we've been working on this project for quite some time. And that has been something of how do you still keep it in minds of the community members, of our stakeholders, that this is coming. It's not overnight. So we definitely look forward to having a couple of community meetings soon to share more of the design. And if you're available to come, definitely visit with us so that we can get some of your input into this one-of-a-kind project on Quitman. Thank you so much again.
Awesome. Thank you, Annabeth. It's nice. It's really great to know that our management districts are being so thoughtful about the bike infrastructure, from, you know, not only what's on the street, but what complements the bike lane too, thinking about lighting and bike parking and community engagement. That's really encouraging and impressive. And now I'm going to introduce an impressive person. The president of just about everything, including the Memorial Heights Redevelopment Authority, and longtime champion of people who walk and bike and take transit in the city of Houston. Sherry Wiesner is going to
Thank you, Jessica. This is a complete reconstruction of Shepherd and Durham and selected cross streets. Bayou all the way north to 610. This is a 24th, 20th, 19th, 18th, 16th, 15th, and 14th, and 12th and 11th. Reduce 'Did I lose you guys? I'm sorry.
Yes, I believe we did
Okay.
You are
I'm back.
back. You are back.
All right. This is a unique situation because we are able to actually reduce congestion, improve transit access, improve the pedestrian realm, and add bike facilities on Shepherd Durham. And we're able to do this by right sizing the street. So we will have 3 through lanes, turning lanes where needed, and improve for pedestrian realm and bike facilities. We're also for replacing water and wastewater lines, improving stormwater management, replacing traffic signals, replacing street lights, and providing bike and pedestrian connections to the Bayou trails, to the trails at 7th, and to connect with the city project on 11th Street. The right-of-way varies between 60 and 70 feet, and so the cross-section will vary to some extent. Bike lanes are going to be on the east side of each street, and the reason for that is there is more right-of-way on Shepherd, so we can have floating bus stops on Shepherd. On Durham, we have less right-of-way, so we are actually putting the bike lanes on the east side to avoid conflicts. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about challenges, because all of us face challenges as we do these projects. There were several challenges as we worked on this project. Of course, funding was a big issue, but we were able to win a federal build grant of $25 million and TIP funding of $40 million. The city is using funds from the City of Houston water system for water and wastewater line replacement, and Memorial Heights issued bonds. We're also dealing with several other items in the right-of-way that cause issues. A number of people have built things like fences and other things within the right-of-way. Dealing with these encroachments is an expense that adds to the cost of projects and requires significant coordination. But I believe the biggest challenge for us and for bikeability and walkability in the future is driveways. As you can see from this map, there are lots of driveways along Shepherd and Durham. We'll always have to deal with driveways crossing bike lanes. However, this is a special problem in Houston. Houston's record system for driveway permits is not robust. Many people have extended their driveways or added driveways without a permit. Houston doesn't have a strong shared access requirements. Shared access requirements could reduce the number of driveways, and many other cities in the area, like Friendswood, League City, or Sugar Land, have much stronger requirements which reduce the number of driveways and the conflicts between automobiles and pedestrians and bicycles. I believe both right-of-way encroachments and driveway managements are things that will need to be strengthened if we're going to have a truly walkable and bike-friendly city. Even after saying that, of course, you all know we were able to come up with the money for this project. We're working through the right-of-way encroachment issues, and we're managing the driveway issues to the best of our ability within the city's framework. In the end, we'll have a wonderful complete street that provides great north-south access for automobile users, transit riders, pedestrians, and bicycles. And I know everybody at this event is very interested in the bicycle part, but when we can actually make it better for everyone, the projects get more support and everybody's happier. So there's no management district on the Shepherd Durham area, so we're building to city standard. But we are using this opportunity to push the envelope to create a great street that's aesthetically appealing, and we're working hard to create a street that provides access, safe access for all users, is inviting, where people want to be, and that supports the business community and our community in general. So we're very excited about this project. TERS 5 is also doing a lot of other projects. We're doing an improvement on Heights. We're improving the MKT. We're adding bike lanes on West Dallas. So we're doing a lot of things that are going to help increase or make the network for bikes and pedestrians better. Thanks, Jessica.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sherry. I think you touched on a point that I think is probably one of the most important things I think we're facing when we're moving forward with this bike infrastructure, is that policy matters. And you know, whether it be a walkable places ordinance or, you know, dealing with driveways or, you know, from our infrastructure design manual, you know, our policies need to be in place in order for our infrastructure to thrive and serve people in the way that we need it to. So thank you for bringing that up. And again, a great topic to start. For my next guest is Ian Slavicek, a managing engineer for Houston Public Works. And Ian actually was pivotal in making sure that those policies, specifically the infrastructure design manual, was updated so that, you know, all of these entities were, you know, set up and backed up by the city when applying for new and more innovative designs. So welcome, Ian, and take it away.
Thank you, Jessica. Let me share this real fast. Let me just share my sound. Yeah, thank you. This has been great so far. One of the great things about working for a public agency is you get to be involved with all of these. So all of these projects are we've been working on for a number of years, and I'm just so excited that they're right on the cusp of all happening. And then I think this project that I'm talking about is one of our internal city projects. And I think probably everybody on the call is aware of this on 11th Street and how we've been working on this for a number of years now. I was part of a team that did a road safety audit back a couple of years ago when Bike Houston and Link Houston first well, not first, but they successfully pushed to have the city look at a number of dangerous intersections in town. So I led that effort. And one of the locations that were specifically called out was 11th and Nicholson, where we have a busy trail crossing a busy street. And so I was able to take that and then working with the planning department, the mayor working with Bike Houston, allotting certain money for bikeways implementation. We were able to use the road safety audit to define a bikeway project. And ultimately, it'll be a road safety project for everybody using the street. I think a couple of our other panelists have talked about this, how a lot of our bikeways really have served multiple goals. And really, you can bring a lot of people to the table if we emphasize that. So 11th Street, this has been, like I said, we've been working on this a number of years. I think everybody here has been probably at more public meetings than they can remember on this, but we are real close. But just as a reminder, review, and for anybody who is just coming on board, here's what we're looking at. 11th Street's in the Heights, and we've shown a part of the Shepherd and Durham on the west. So starting on the left side of the screen, you can see where we're connecting with the TERS's project that Sherry just talked about, where they'll eventually be coming down to 11th and even further than that. 11th Street gives us that connection into the Heights and really gives us a regional connection across the Heights into lots of different communities. The part that we're looking at right now, currently in design, is from Shepherd to Michaud, and that's the blue dotted line where we'll be doing actual defined bike lanes. And then on Michaud down to Studi Park will be a assigned shared bike route. So just from here, we could probably even flesh this out a little bit more, that this corridor, this pair of corridors connect so much. I mean, we are connecting future bikeways on Shepherd Durham. We're connecting down to the trail system along White Oak Bayou that connects into downtown. Connects out to, you could view all of this as connected out to the Spring Branch trail system, because all of this is connected in a very thematic, strategic way. And so by providing this link, we are opening up all of these improvements to so many people. So what I want to talk about with some of the details, that 11th Street actually has two slightly different cross sections. So west of Heights and east of Heights looks a little bit different. And to be able to provide a very high comfort, safe bicycle facility west of Heights, what we heard from the community is that was a priority. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we had a safe vehicle and bus travel and interactions too. So what we're actually going to be doing there, it was a compromise that we have worked out, we've hashed out with the community, that we think is going to work, and that we're actually going to build a median down the middle of the road, and then have left turns at strategic locations. And that gives us more space to work with for the bike lane and any kind of delineation that we'll be adding. East of Heights, we have a little bit more room, and then we can actually get that turn lane. We're still working on some of the lane widths themselves, but it gets us enough space to actually provide just about everything. And then a couple of the intersection improvements, of course, Nicholson at 11th Street is one of our priorities. That was one of Bike Houston's identified dangerous intersections. And working with Public Works for a number of years, the community has talked about this intersection a long time, and we've tried to do a lot of things here, but it's exciting that we can actually come through with what I think will be a great improvement and really solve it. And, you know, if we need to do more, we can, but this gives us a tool to make that crossing better. At the same time, we looked to try to do something on Heights Boulevard as well, because we saw some dramatic needs there. And for me, in most of my life growing up in Houston, I'm like Jessica. I'm from Houston, and we're a rare breed, I feel sometimes. But I always drove through here, and driving through this intersection has always been terrible. And now that I've come into my understanding of how transportation works, and I actually want to bike more places, I mean, it's just not a bike friendly. It doesn't work for anybody. So what we're going to be doing there is a dramatic series of turn restrictions and median crossings. We're going to be able to try to serve the trail on Heights Boulevard better. We're going to be looking at floating bus stops to serve the transit lines that run along there. And then that'll give us enough space to be able to provide bike lanes all the way through. The trade-off is that we're going to have to restrict some of the left turn lanes, but the grid network of the roadway in the system in the area leads us to believe that that's going to work.
Cool.
And then finally, we're going to do a very similar treatment. Am I out of time, Jessica?
Ian, you're at time. We're going to have to pass the potato.
Okay. Well, this last intersection.
Sure.
Let me go to the last slide. I think this is useful for everybody. We're currently under design. We'll be moving into construction this fall, and I think we'll be able to finish either by the end of the year or early next year. So at long last, we'll be getting something out on 11th Street. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And as Ian mentioned, you know, the community and Bike Houston was really instrumental in getting these improvements done and made. And that really speaks to the power that not only, you know, government agencies, but nonprofit organizations and regular everyday people can have in moving things forward. And that's exactly what Ann Whitlock did in the Gulfton Sharpstown area. I don't know if you've read in the Houston Chronicle, they wrote about, you know, the improvements happening at Hillcroft, and Ann can tell you a little bit more. I'm sorry, Ann Whitlock, founding director, Connect Community. Welcome and tell us about your project.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Joe, for having me here today. So yes, I am going to give a brief, introduction to our project. It's probably going to start to sound hauntingly familiar to all the other projects, so I'll try to change it up a little bit. But so I'm the director of Connect Community. We are a place-based community development organization in the Gulfton neighborhood, which is just west of Bel Air and south of Galleria, for those who don't know where it is. And we really got involved in kind of walkable streets when a young boy was killed in the intersection about 4 years ago. And Connect really made a commitment to the family and to the neighborhood that we would work on making streets more safe. And because this is a walking neighborhood, it is paramount that we do that. So I'm going to just take you on a quick little video tour of Gulfton. We have 3 streets that we're working on that kind of sprang from a partnership with Together for Safer Roads, and then working with TEI to develop a plan. And then it was funded jointly with the Public Works Department and the Southwest Management District at the TERS 20. So, and I have to just give lots of shout outs to the Public Works Department and to the TERS. They've just been incredible partners throughout this whole process. And I think we're going to come up with a really great project when this is all done. So I will share my screen and play a little video. So you can see that the lanes are, this is Hillcroft. That's an 8-lane road currently, and it's vastly oversized for the traffic that it pushes through. So this is current conditions on Hillcroft. And this is what we've actually launched. We're in the process of doing this first phase on Hillcroft with the expansion of the sidewalks to 6 and sometimes 8 feet. And then we'll have dedicated turning lanes onto Bel Air coming from the north of Hillcroft. And then this is High Star, which is where Legacy and Baker Ripley and the city's health department all are. And we're going to have 2, a bike lane and a floating bus stop, and then 8-foot sidewalks. So because as I said, this is a walking community, it's super important that we have buffered spaces, because we also have a lot of cars on this road. And then this is Westward Street. So Westward, which kind of doglegs off of Hillcroft, will basically be a hike and bike trail. It'll be 10-foot wide sidewalks that will, now I was so happy to hear Lisa Griff say that she's looking for partners for her expanded network of center point easements, because we really want the West Park center point easement to come to fruition, because this would connect straight into that project. And this is a neighborhood that uses biking as a mode of transportation. So these are people that are biking to jobs, either to Galleria or to the Hillcroft Transit Center or south towards Sugarland. So we're right as I said, we launched the first phase. Public Works is expanding the sidewalks on Hillcroft. Next, they'll move into doing the dedicated bike lanes. And I foresee our biggest challenge as, because this is not a neighborhood that even has ever seen a bike lane before. And we're asking people to give up parking spaces on High Star. That's where I think a lot of community outreach is going to need to happen, not just from Connect, but from all of our partners, to come with a unified message that this is a good thing. So that's my presentation.
Great. Thanks so much, Anne. Again, this was another, area where we, as Bike Houston, really focused in on too, and it's great to see that there's so much progress being made. Our last guest is David Fields, the Chief Transportation Officer for the City of Houston. And I just want to say that about 3 years ago, Bike Houston asked that your position exist. And I'm so glad that you're here, and we created a spot for you, and you're doing this great work. So welcome, David.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Jessica, to Bike Houston, and everybody, because all of this work, as you've seen all the way around, it gets done because we all come together to do it. Houston's a huge place. As you all know, about 670 square miles, which is just humongous, the size of 6 Atlantas or 8 Washington, D.C.s. There's just no way that any one person or group can do it alone. So the amount of energy and group effort that goes into doing this is just amazing. I'm going to share just 2 very simple slides. Hopefully you can see this. So this is where we are today on our bike plan. We have somewhere about 340 miles of high comfort bike facilities in the city, which is amazing. Other cities cannot believe that we already have so much, and it's because of all these partnerships that we can do it. But honestly, we're not stopping there. This is what we are aiming for. we're talking about over about 1,800 miles of facilities. And when I talk to other cities about this, they cannot believe it. This is just amazing to them. We want to do every single project on this list. But honestly, we can't just start anywhere. Everybody has their own favorite project, and every one of those projects, every person we hear from can make a very solid case for why their project should be the next one. What we are doing, instead of just saying yes to whoever can be loudest or whoever can know the right phone number to call, is work on a data-driven approach, which is being led by Brian Smith in our Transportation Planning Division, with coordination with our Bicycle Advisory Committee. This bike prioritization exercise is based on 4 factors: safety, equity, demand, and connectivity. And we're going to be able to run every one of these routes through that formula and figure out which are the highest of the highest priorities, and then start assigning that into our capital programs, as well as identifying which of our partners may be working on pieces at the same time, so we can get a little further down our list. And when you ask why those factors specifically, it's a couple of things. One, that's what we've heard from the community, but all of this goes back to the city's overall plans. Obviously, the bike plan, but it also connects to our Vision Zero action plan, Resilient Houston, and the Climate Action Plan. Every time somebody says, well, what are you going to work on next? We say, well, we went back to our plans and we developed a methodology to support it. And we're going to work every single day to get this map up and running in the order to support our goals. And at the end of the day, we hope everybody's going to be able to work with us, all the partners on this call and everybody who has joined us to participate, to implement this very, very wide-ranging and very robust bike plan. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. It's really exciting to know that the city's vision is to cover the whole city in bikeways. And with that, I'll hand it over to Joanna Stratman with Bike Houston.
Hi, thanks again to Jessica and all the panelists today, and for all your hard work and working hard to expand and develop the biking infrastructure in the area. As Jessica said, my name is Joanna Stratman and I'm a member of the Bike Houston Board of Directors. I'm originally from the UK and grew up in the London area, and biking has basically been part of my life for as long as I can remember. And I would really like the same to be true for my 5-year-old twin boys, especially as they're off their training wheels. So I'm really excited and passionate about the biking infrastructure that's connected, inclusive, safe, and accessible enough for even the youngest of bikers. For years now, Bike Houston has been providing the city and county with strong, valid reasons for improving cycling infrastructure, but we literally cannot carry out our work without your help and support. The strength of Bike Houston lies in community, and when our voices come together, as such, to help expand our Bike Houston community this year, you can join us for as little as $5. We're encouraging biking supporters like you to contribute whatever you can, whether it's $5 or $5,000, towards something that we hope is personally meaningful to you too. This entire Houston Bike Summit is being presented free of charge. So if you enjoyed today's session or any other session over the last few weeks, please show your support by becoming a member at bikehouston.org/join. And if you're already a member, you can show your appreciation for the incredible content at the summit by making a one-time donation at bikehouston.org/donate. In fact, until the end of May, Mark Livingston, one of our most dedicated supporters, is going to match every dollar you give. And by joining us, you'll also be eligible to win a 2-litre T2 Pro XTR bike rack from Bike Barn 2. Thanks again to everyone for attending the session today, and we hope you join our growing community of advocates to help bring better bikeways to our region.